The only way that we can ever meet another and not project or judge or blame or shame is by first knowing who we are, because then we take personal responsibility. We have a sense of inner authority and a grounding within ourselves that anchors us further in our truth and also makes us open enough and accepting enough for the other individual's truth as well. To communicate with those outside of us, with ourselves and our spirit, really dropping into the place that is from the neck down.
Welcome to You Are the Journey, the podcast where we explore the profound depths of the human experience. I'm your host, SIMRAN, and together we'll dive into life's unfolding, its openings, growth, expansion, and illumination. In this space, we reflect on what it means to soften into our truest selves, radiate our inner light, and aspire to align with the vision and purpose of our souls to create revolutionary purpose, fulfillment, and joy in life. Personal reflections, contemplations, and insights to help you become the best version of yourself while embracing the unique path that is yours to walk. You are not on a journey, you are the journey.
Ultimately, the greatest practice we can all have is to continuously deepen into how am I loving myself, knowing who we are, to communicate with those outside of us, with ourselves and our spirit, really dropping into the place that is from the neck down. And that has everything to do with communication and communing. That is bringing the oneness to the world. Because when you're communicating and communing and you're asking the questions and staying in the inquiry and listening for the answers, that is where the truths will rise. And that is a different level of self-love. That is beyond the surface love of taking myself on trips and buying myself nice things and even eating healthy or the exercise. Do I love myself enough to really know myself, to go into the places of my own darkness and my own light? Do I love myself enough to be alone with myself for long periods of time? Do I love myself enough to love and be loved? Do I love myself enough to relate to others and see their sides and points of views and understand with compassion where they're coming from, because I've excavated those very places within myself to be able to see them. And in that way, I understand myself and I understand them. It's true spirituality. That is relationship. That is unity when we do those types of things. We live in a world used to running away, that the mental level is an easy way to stay in identity, to hang on to ego, to grip on to story, to stay at the very surface level and masked level of who we each are. And if we truly want to be our authentic selves, if we truly want to discover the essence inside and live the natural, organic, receptive, higher vibrational law of attraction existence, then we have to be willing to crack away all of the masks. And the biggest one of all is the mind. The mental level is really surface. That is the mind, that is the societal, that is some of the conditioning. But then we have to dive into the emotional body to understand, what do we really feel about that? What comes up around it? Is it a good feeling or a bad feeling? Is it discomfort? Is it something that makes us go into a freeze where we're numb and we don't want to feel something? Where does this take us into our emotional body? And then once we go into the emotional body, go deeper even there, because within our physical body is where the unconscious is embedded. And the way that the physical body speaks is by sensation, hurt, discomfort. This doesn't feel good. It twinges in my left leg because I'm not receptive. I find my hand tightening into a fist because I'm holding on. I find my throat clearing because I'm not saying what I want to say. Our body speaks our truth. The deceptive intelligence of the ego is so tricky. And one of the ways that it keeps us distracted is by having us go over our stories again and again and again. Repeat the past, talk about how things have wounded us in the past, or how things have been, or be hard on ourselves. Say, I always beat myself up. Well, that's just a statement. It can stop at any moment, but it is a way of distraction for the ego to avoid the core issue. When we look at the world and we see reactivity, and we see protest, and we see blame, or we see people checking out, going numb, getting into addiction, those are all simply masks and surface level living to avoid what's really going on at a deeper level. And yet individuals say, I want the good life. I want the successful career. I want the purpose in life. I want to be able to serve others. I want the ideal romantic relationship. I want the perfect family. But they don't want to do the work for it. They want to stay at that mental surface level, and it's more important to be right or hold a grudge or emphasize the truth of their past than it is to say, let me close the door on that, because that's not this moment. There must be something deeper inside me that's keeping me running these loops and running these stories. So how can I possibly create a different future or create the type of life that I want if I keep projecting my past and my pain onto every person, place, and thing that crosses my path? Nothing will change. You will keep recreating the same exact experience. That's why all the ancient texts have one simple core message, and that is live in the present moment. Because if you're in the present moment, you can't pull the past into it. You can't project into the future. You can only be with what is, and there is never anything wrong with what is. Whether you are a friend to someone, whether you are a coach, a mentor, a teacher, a counselor, I do believe it's easier to ask the questions. But it's when we're willing to not just hold the question in ourselves from that surface level, but to really go deeply into it and carry that question and do the work to answer the question and go deeper and go deeper and go deeper and find what our core beliefs have been around those things. Do we then go into a greater level of service? Because we truly can't serve another until we serve ourselves. And I think that goes to the title of this show. To understand self is to understand the other. So unless we're really willing to deep dive and do the type of work that takes us into our shadows, takes us into our fears and our projections, that takes us into our reasons why we want to adamantly stand in the position that we have, we really cannot be of service to another because we're holding on to residual baggage that on an energetic level we actually transmit. It's really powerful to take a question, but then to really know what to do with the question and not just let it stay at the mental level is the task that's before each one of us. Anyone who thinks that they are going to avoid their pain by finding methods to avoid their pain is living a lie. We don't avoid anything. It will completely show up in other places, in other ways, to keep bringing us back to that, because that is how life is designed. It's designed to bring us to the people, places, and things that keep knocking on the doors of our pain so that we finally address it and reconcile it and reabsorb the cracked and broken and lost parts of ourselves. And when we do that, that is where the peace and the joy and the happiness actually reside. And that's the irony. Life is this game. It is this paradox where we think what we're looking for is outside, but it's really inside. We want to go after the shiny bauble, but really the diamond is hidden inside the dark coal. Once you figure that out, then all of a sudden the work, the pain, any of that doesn't have to feel as heavy. It can become the devotion, the place of commitment and partnership. When you can have sacredness and commitment and partnership to self in that way, then true namaste happens outside of you. Then you can see the God in other people. Then you can respect other people the way they deserve and embrace them and accept them. But until then, it's just a bunch of smoke and mirrors and masks that an individual uses to make themselves feel good about themselves, because we can spiritually bypass all day long. I see people do it all the time. It's easy to say, I do my work, or I do this profession, or I've written these books, or I'm on stages, or, all of that. That doesn't mean that the person has evolved. It just means that they are good at marketing and they're good at putting out there what they do. But are they really behaving and living their life by those principles? Or is it just another mask that they're wearing to try to convince themselves that they're good enough? Until we can embrace that we believe that we're unworthy, that we believe that we're undesirable, that we believe that we are unlovable or not seen, until we fully embrace those places and then give that to ourselves, only then can we have the compassion, the kindness, and the care that is required in the world to truly hold the sacred space that the world is calling for. Free yourself from the shackles and the bindings that keep you from living your best life, simply because you don't need to carry around the baggage that you've been carrying. This is now a time of freedom. It's a time to live in the present moment on a continual basis. And that's going to require your work. It's going to require your effort until you discover the key turns the lock, the depth of love inside yourself that transforms it into devotion and ease.
I am deeply grateful for your presence today in joining me for You Are the Journey. As we continue to explore the depths of our human experience, remember that every step you take is a vital part of your sacred evolution. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and share this podcast with others who might benefit from these conversations. And I hope you'll stay connected through my Substack newsletter and community titled Beyond the Illusion. Your support helps us draw in a community dedicated to personal growth and collective awakening. I invite you to carry the insights we've shared into your daily life and allow them to guide you toward fulfillment and joy. Keep radiating your light and nurturing your soul's purpose. Remember, you are not on a journey, you are the journey. And every moment is an opportunity for transformation. Until we meet again, in love, of love, with love, and as love, I am SIMRAN. Be well.